How did you meet House Phone?
He was selling coke at the club. Yeah.
That's another one. That's how you met all your black friends.
I mean, you make good friends through doing drugs. You know.
Yeah, I'm saying that's how you build those like bridges.
That's crazy.
And you
right?
don't burn them because you need each other.
The first
you met him at the
conversation I probably ever had with House Phone was like, "Yo, you want to bump?" Okay. Like if it wasn't the first thing he ever said to me, it was the first thing I remember. So
right.
Yeah.
And then how did y'all like?
And who doesn't want to bump?
You know,
I wanted a bump at the time. I definitely wanted
a
a bump. What are you saying?
how did y'all start like working together and stuff or whatever at first?
I just thought he was funny, so I was like, "Yo, you should like guest host on some podcasts or whatever." And it was all like super natural or just easy because there's a lot of podcasts back then that I look back on where I had different people co-host who had no business co-hosting and were like totally raw. Like if you want to see something crazy, watch my Smoke Perp interview from back in the day because Hesh is on it. You know Hesh? Hesh.
Nah.
No Jumper lore. He was an important figure, but he like as I'm saying like. Introducing Smoke Perp, he's like screaming into the mic. He's just like the homie who's around doing all kinds of shit, but he's screaming, "Boolest podcast in the world!" He's screaming it into the fucking mic, and I'm just looking at him like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, we're trying to do a podcast, but that's how raw it was.
Energy.
Yeah, it was just like,
but that's what made it different.
Unmatched.
Yeah,
it's worse because he know better.
But it was it made it
better.
different, but it was a little too much. It was like we gotta chill. But because back in the day, it was like if I'm interviewing you, you got 3 homies with you, boom, sit them down. They're just gonna be on the podcast with us, which was cool. But then like a lot of times you'd have one fool who would just be talking way too much.
Yeah, like it's his interview.
Right. Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, that's how it happens.
You considered a House Phone a friend?
Yeah.
What like?
At a certain point. I mean, we barely talk now, so it doesn't feel too friendly these days. But we talk once in a while, so sure.
Right. What
but it also became like we just worked together over time, you know? Like
was it
all of a sudden
like
we weren't really
relationship or was it more friendship?
In the beginning, it was just friends, and then as time goes by, it's like because also like he was still partying, he's still like going out, he's still like at rap shows, he's still doing all these things that as I got older, I just stopped doing all that shit. So it's like all of a sudden the period of time where we had coke in common was like way in the rearview mirror, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. You got anything else trying to make?
Nah,
yeah.
He's getting a little history lesson right now.
Because I feel like,
and he's definitely going somewhere. I'm trying to figure it out too.
I'm trying to figure out something, right? Because it's like, House Phone was somebody that, was there, right? And then I'm trying to understand like how the hip hop thing started, like, because it was BMX biking. And then like, you said you had the store on Melrose, so you started bumping into all these cool different people, right? And then like House Phone came through, and then the whole little crew came through. And when did it become like why did you choose like hip hop?
Well, it
was
it was hip hop to start because I always had just been a rap fan, but then the SoundCloud scene started to hit. And I was like downtown LA just hanging out, like literally like the Lil Peep apartment, the Goth Boy Clique apartment was like a couple blocks away. And so I'm just right in the middle of shit. And like I just started interviewing all these artists that nobody else wanted to interview at that time who became gigantic. And it's weird to think about it. Like in 2016, 2017, we were like the only spot that was really doing interviews with underground rappers. So like that's the reason why 6ix9ine was chasing after me, dogging me, hitting me up all the fucking time trying to get an interview back in the day. That wouldn't happen like that anymore because now there's a million different streamers and different interviews and like a million different ways. Like now we kind of got to fight if we want to get somebody's interview in. Like whereas back then it was like people were just hounding me. It was crazy.
Right.
But I mean, I always just had like a real genuine interest in rap, even though I never did any kind of business with rap. But when I also look back at it, bro, in my early 20s doing the BMX stuff, I remember emailing and texting or like, hollering at people on MySpace and shit in terms of like different underground rappers from all over New York and shit and trying to tap in with them and like do stuff that would kind of like mix BMX and hip hop. But I never had any success with it because I didn't have any money. So it was like kind of hard to convince people to do shit back then. But when I think about it now, it's like, damn, you should have just tried a little harder because I could have.
You at One Punch could have put something together.
For real. I tried to actually like get him to be a rapper at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out my boy.
What's like a good story you got of House Phone? Like one of the,
You like House Phone, huh?
No, I'm trying to just understand some things. Like, so I think these are questions that I would like to know before making like a full assessment of the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know how, were you guys really cool? Like, were you guys really friends?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
was there
Is
something that
this
he
be-
ever did to you or like did around you that you was like, man, he's my friend? Like something, like a cool thing that he did.
Is this because during the beginning of what was going on, you were shining against potting with Adam at any point in your career from that point on? Is this why you?
Yeah, because
assessing it?
when I seen, I as a person that was watching, right, I seen things unfold, and I was just like, well, like, why would he do that? You know what I'm saying? Like certain things. So I just want to have an understanding of like what your relationship was with House Phone. You know what I'm saying? Was it strictly business? Was it strictly
No,
like
early
content,
on-
or was it like that's my friend?
No,
you know what I mean?
early on we were only doing content together because we were friends, like just because we were actually hanging out, going to parties, going to rap shows, whatever. If you go back and watch the No Jumper vlogs and everything from 2016, 2017, you will see us hanging out on some regular ass shit, like a Thursday night, 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting in my room smoking weed and listening to music type shit. But then fast forward to like 2021, it was like, you know, like we kind of were just doing content together, honestly. Like it would just be like we would meet up once a week to do content, and we weren't really like kicking it outside of that too much. But although, I mean, to be real, like me, Suspect, and House Phone went to the mall and like did a vlog where we were just like going around shopping and shit, like right before everything kind of fell apart. So it's not like we were like totally not friends, but the friendship kind of became more of like an on-camera thing over time, you know?
Right. So that's like I wanted to know, like, was it, you know, what that was like. So like when I saw the whole thing happen with him, right? My question was like, how did he find, because correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like you said that you saw a comment from Gracie, the trans woman,
Right.
right? You saw a comment, and in that comment, what explain that a little bit?
Well, I don't want to like totally drag all this shit up again, but for the record, it was like, this is the order of events. I meet Gracie Jane at the Pornhub Awards or the AVN Awards. We ended up having a conversation about her on the podcast with Danny Mullen, and then we post it, and it's kind of like us joking around about her or whatever, and she leaves a comment that says, "Ask your boy House Phone about me."
Right.
And so I hit him up in the group chat like, "Yo, what the fuck is she talking about, rah, rah." And he basically was like, "Nah, she's lying, yada yada." I'm like, "Oh, she's lying, all right." And then, but she already was supposed to come on the podcast after that, and then she shows up, and then she just like clearly has an agenda where she wants to like expose him or whatever.
Right. You
And
put that in did you hit him up directly? Or?
I hit him as soon as that was done,
Like-
and I was just like, "Yo, like for the record, she just came on here and like said this, and this about you," and he basically was like, "Yo."
Was it on a group chat or was it on a direct?
That conversation was in
The first-
was
like the
separate. The
first-
first thing was in the group chat because
Right.
I like didn't really realize how serious it was going to be. I just like, you know, but then he basically said like, "Yo, I would appreciate if you would like edit that shit out," and so
Right.
we did. But then one of the editors missed
All
some
right,
of
so
it.
that was like something I was like, I questioned, right? I'm like, okay, like if we're all working together, whether we're cool friends, whether we're good friends or whatever, right? There's a certain type of respect that we have to have for each other. You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like, damn, why did Adam put it in a group chat? You know what I'm saying? That was kind of, I felt like that was a little callous. You know what I'm saying? And I was just wondering why not just hit him up like, yo, bro, like
I mean,
pull up, let me talk
But
to
who
you.
thinks
so-
that is gonna be true? You gotta.
Right,
That's
yeah.
what I would. That's what I would just go say. Like, jokingly, like going in there and like not knowing that he's even going that way with it is a motherfucker. Like, hey, she's trolling you
Right.
in the
Right.
group chat.
because in retrospect,
But
if he had
but
said,
go ahead. But go ahead.
well, in retrospect, if he had said like right away, if he had just hit me and been like, "Yo, it's true, please don't have her on the podcast," I would have been like, oh, "All right, like I'm not gonna have her on the podcast," because like just out of respect for him. But to be fair, he said it wasn't true, and that's what made me be like, "Oh, it's not true."
Yeah. And it made you want to like grill her even more about the.
But I didn't grill her about him at all. She just starts bringing it up on the fucking podcast like right away. Just starts digging
that's
in.
the Gracie that you was talking about at the beginning of the shit. Oh wow,
That's why I was like-
crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. All right.
So he never even told y'all. So after you put it in the group chat, you hit him up on the side.
I didn't hit him up like because he just hit me and said like, "Nah, it's not true." After I said it in the group chat
Personally.
Yeah, but then
Right.
after she came on the podcast and said way more, that's when I hit him separately and was like, "Yo, like, what do you want me to do? Like, this is crazy." And he was still denying it, but he also was like, "Yo, can you please like edit that shit out?" And I was like, "Oh, all right, yeah." Like, I kind of put two and two together, even though I was kind of confused why he was saying it wasn't true. But yeah, that's what. That's
So
what I said.
at all, he didn't tell you at all, right? He ain't let you know at all, and that's
he didn't
as-
tell me, but I kind of got the idea
At
But
the-
at what time though? What time did you get the idea?
after she did the podcast.
After she did the
Because he
podcast.
was telling me like to delete it, but it was just like if it really wasn't true, he probably would have like said, "Bro, it's 100% not true on my dead homies, yada yada." Like he would have probably talked about it different. Like I kind of
does that come
got the
to like
idea.
does hearing Gracie say when you heard what Gracie said, did it come to a surprise to you at all? Like because you knew him for all these years, like was it
yeah
a surprise?
yeah.
It was a surprise,
I
right?
never knew of anything like that.
And
going
that's
on.
why, but that's why I'm big on the be yourself. Even if you're around people, bro, be yourself. All that shit that happened in the closet though, gang. At the end of the day, I'm not defending nothing y'all talk about, but be yourself. Like a motherfucker still fuck with you if you yourself. If you be around, like you don't have to say it, but it's just like don't hide the fact that you fuck with these type of people or whatever the case is, because anything you hide, it come to light.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like,
Out of that whole situation, what do you like? Do you regret anything about that?
I mean, with hindsight, yeah, I regret everything. I wish I didn't fucking bring her on the pod. I wish
you didn't either, man.
because she ended up saying
Like,
after
why
the
did
fact,
you do that? Like, why did you bring? What was the reason for bringing her, like,
Because
Gracie up?
it was just like, oh, like there's this goofy ass fucking trans porn star that's mad at me and Danny Mullen for fucking joking around about her on the podcast. Let's just have her on the podcast so we can, because she was mad at us about like some joke that we made about her that didn't have anything to do with this. So it was like, oh, we'll just have her on the podcast and like hear her out.
yeah.
But keep in mind, when I made that decision, I had no idea that she even knew one of my friends, you
Yeah.
know? Which if I had Googled, I would have been able to figure out that they had a music video together
Right.
and shit. But I had no clue that there was any kind of like overlap with us socially or whatever.
you-
so
when you see
with
that-
hindsight,
Who-
it's like, oh shit, I could have avoided all of that by not having this person on the podcast, but I really had no idea.
Right. But then when you seen a comment, there was a little sign of something, right?
Yeah, and so I asked him and he denied it.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. Like,
But
I
at
guess
that
she's still
point,
coming
couldn't you
on.
have said? Because I mean, at that point, did you have the opportunity to be like, hold on, like it looks like this person is trying to troll or like chase, like clout chase or something off of House Phone. Did that thought ever come up at all?
I just didn't even think about it that hard once he told me that it was bullshit.
Damn.
I was just like, oh, okay. Like, she's joking around. I figured, like, oh, he probably knows her. And, like, you know, she's just making this joke or whatever.
Right. And then when she came on and was having the conversation, and in that conversation, right, like Gracie kept on saying his name, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Which, and then that,
How did that make you feel? Like, what was going on through your mind when that was happening?
it was just awkward. It was just like, why the fuck? Like, why are you putting me in this position? And I kept telling her in the interview, like,
I saw it,
I'm
yeah.
going to have to delete this. I'm going to have to edit all this shit out, you know?
Right.
And she clearly didn't give a fuck. And
But see, in that interview, you said you was like, "Damn, I'm feeling like everybody's gonna hate me for this, and they're all gonna think I'm a bad friend and I'm a bad person." So you had that, like, it came across your mind that something that you were doing was like, this is gonna end up bad.
Well,
Like, this
because
is-
I already knew when I was talking to her that we were going to edit it out. But then on top of that, I just knew that once we edited it out, that she was probably going to expose him anyway, because she had kind of, you know, I'm like, if I edit all this shit out, because I think I said that in the interview, I'm like, we're going to edit this out. She's like, oh, if you do, then it's going to be even crazier or whatever. So it's like, I kind of felt like, oh, we're going to edit it all out, put it out, and then shit'll be all right because maybe she won't be so mad. Because if I just didn't put it out after she did the interview, I knew she was going to be so fucking mad that she was going to expose the shit anyway. So I figured that like the best thing I could do would just be to edit his name out. But then obviously one of the employees missed one of his names, which is all, you know.
So
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
do you? I mean, that
That's crazy.
that
That's crazy.
that
right
do you
there.
do you think that
And it's so complicated that it's kind of like hard to explain all the different things that happen to people at times because it's just like a very complicated like sequence of events.
Shorty
Yeah.
weaponized her dick.
It's a wild ass like coincidence too that I just have like a random
Right.
fucking porn star on the podcast and then she ends up having some shit that she's like planning on exposing
So
about
so
somebody.
more than AD and Trill, that's what you had a problem with more of the house phone situation.
Yeah, because it was like that was the problem that I really, because it was like, damn, like you just threw somebody under the bus that was your friend. You know what I'm saying? That's how it looked like to me.
It
you know what I'm
definitely
saying?
looked that way to a lot of the fans too
I
at that
feel-
time, you know?
It just looked like, damn, more than C-Rec, because that was like those are business choices.
Yeah,
those are
yeah,
different.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's what
Like
I was
whatever.
saying.
But that was your friend, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that was your friend. And for to see that and to see you guys mature and like, you know what I'm saying? Like bring something that was like that from what I first saw it into something like this. And I was just like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like it bothered me because it was like, damn, he just threw his friend under the bus like that. And he had opportunity to say, you know what, we not gonna put this out. We not gonna, first of all, we not even gonna interview her. We not, but I didn't know all of this stuff that you just said, right? But from as a fan perspective, as a person just watching, it's like, damn, this dude is evil, bro. You know what I'm saying?
All right, I would say it's an issue of intent because like two different situations. If I'm driving my car down the street and a fucking little kid runs in front of my car and I kill him just by accident, nobody could say like, "Oh, you're a fucked up person because you were just driving down the street and you
Yeah.
killed this kid."
Yeah.
But if I'm driving down the street and I see some little kid walking on the side of the street and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit this motherfucker," and just like run him
on
off the
side of
road.
Yeah.
That's different because if the court can prove that that was my intention or whatever, then it's an issue of intent. Like in reality, I had no intent to hurt House Phone or to do anything negative to him. And I actually went very out of my way by massively having them edit the podcast and shit to try to spare the shit happening. Now, the one thing that people could say is like, it was such a big deal that you should have personally reviewed the entire podcast yourself, which that is what I regret is that I had actually done that. But to be fair, like every single time, every podcast I do, there's almost
You doing
always
so much
something to delete.
content,
Yeah, there's always
Yeah.
something to delete. Like not every
But this
episode,
is
but a
different.
large
Yeah.
percentage.
This is different.
Yeah.
I
This
did
was
a Crip
different.
Mac interview the other day, and he was saying this, and this, and he's hitting me up after delete this and this. All right, I tell the team to do it. If they fuck that up, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with Crip Mac. Be like, bro, I told them to delete it. They fucked up. Yada yada. You know, it's like that. That was what it was. There was
Right.
no intent for me to fuck up our friendship.
But
I
we-
wish that our friendship was still.
I was telling him he was gonna end up doing that anyway. Like, you
But
gotta-
this
you
is
gotta
different
want all
than
of
the
this deleted.
situation with the house phone situation and the Crip Mac situation is completely different, right? Because here you have it somebody that's saying something that could damage this person's not even just career but mental space. You know what I'm saying? Like you know that it could damage this person. Like so, here's this person saying something on a platform that the person that he's saying it about that Gracie was saying it about is a part of the platform, right? And it was just like, you know, I felt like you should have just been like, you know what, we're not even gonna put this out because of how like damaging it could have been and I felt like if you would have done that, like certain things that you've done, like makes people look at you in a certain way, right? So it's like that one part right there, and it's just like for a lot of people, it's like damn, he doesn't really care about the people that work for him. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about content. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is gonna be viral, put it out. Like it's content, and it's kind of like eating inside, like eating amongst your own, like feeding off of your own like team. You know
So
what I'm
people
saying?
got to take my word for it, but yeah, never at all did I ever want to expose them for content. It's not like how much extra money out of like off YouTube did we make because of that situation? Like
Right.
almost nothing. You know,
Right.
it was like, and it was not an enjoyable experience for me by far. That was like, even before all this other shit happened, I was fucking down bad, like depressed, like bummed the fuck out about that whole situation. Like the narrative that I didn't care is just like crazy. Like,
Do you
I was
ca- so
super
you do
upset
care?
about it at the time. Hell yeah, of
You-
course.
do
I
you
felt
care
terrible
about House
about it.
Phone?
Yeah, and we had a lot, like me and House Phone, people don't know, and I'm not going to go into details or anything, but we've had conversations since then and stuff. And I can confidently say that given a few months to like zoom out and view what happened and everything, that like he gets it. He knows that there was no ill intent from me in that regard.
What's one thing you learned out of that whole situation, that particular situation?
Don't fuck with trans people. Just
They're
kidding.
exposed.
Just kidding.
Deadass.
Nah,
Dead ass.
playing.
I don't know. I'm not really sure what to learn from it because I just wish that I don't know. I mean, I could have not put the podcast out and that would have been cool. But the thing is like, I kind of know that the end result would have been the same because that bitch would have been so fucking mad about me not putting the podcast out that I know for a fact that she would have gone on Instagram and exposed it. But at least from the perspective of the audience, they wouldn't have been able to blame it on me. They'd be like, oh, this person is trying to expose
For
whatever.
sure,
They
yeah.
wouldn't have been able to blame it on me, but I know it would have worked out the same way.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like,
do you feel like you crossed any lines in that situation?
I mean, everything was accidental. So
Right.
it's like I don't think that I did anything purposefully evil towards him. And I feel like a lot of people, like him included, kind of get that at this point. So in terms of crossing a line, like you never want to be like have your platform exposing something
friend.
about, especially with something like that, where it's like I'm assuming that you guys are not like big proponents of people sleeping with trans people or whatever, but we all agree that we should keep each other's like, business secretive or whatever. If there was anybody in this office and I knew that they were gay and they were keeping it low key, obviously I'm never going to fucking say a word about it. I'm always going to just try to act like I don't even know. I don't want to fucking be involved with like expose. I think
That's what I'm saying. That's
outing
a part
people
of
in
being
general is
yourself.
bad. Is
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
form. Like if you got a gay homie and they don't want people to know, and not saying he's gay, but like it's on.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like if there's a team, right? The team should be protecting everybody amongst the team. Everybody should be protecting each other, whether you fuck with them or not, whether you like them or not. If we're a part of the team, we need to be protecting each other, right?
Right.
Now that
To
you
the
said
fullest
that,
extent.
to the fullest extent, you know what I'm saying?
I agree.
And just judging from that, that's why I just want to ask you. I'm not trying to harp on anything that you already talked about, but it is questions that I had, right? So now, I think in retrospect, do you how about like putting the like group chat, like, you know what I'm saying? Like if it was something like that, do you think that putting it on the group chat was kind of like a joke, like kind of like, you know what I mean, kind of putting him in a position where he had to lie? Like
the only
type
thing
shit?
I said in the group chat was when she left that comment, and I
Right.
was just like, "Yo, what is this?" Which I then realized the severity of it. So every conversation we had after that was just
So do you
one on one.
regret that?
Yeah.
I
Putting it in
mean,
a group chat?
I guess, but also like
But you guys
okay.
joke in the group chat back then. That's
Constantly.
what I'm
Constantly.
saying. So it's like
Right.
constant, like,
Right.
come
all
on,
right,
you gotta think.
we
It's all
gotta,
type
so
of,
that's what I'm saying. I'm
yeah.
asking you these questions so you
So,
can kind of
'cause
let
these
us know.
people
We
don't
don't
know
know.
either.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
we
okay,
don't-
the only thing, like the comment that she left was like, "Oh, ask your boy House Phone about me," or
It's
some
all
shit,
a gray area,
which
though.
I didn't
It's
really know
gray
what that
area.
meant.
It's
But I
great.
sent it in the group chat to just be like, like some regular shit that you're gonna clown your homie about.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
wasn't obvious to me right away that like, oh, this is a big deal to him, or that it's gonna turn into a massive fucking deal. You know?
Yeah.
Right. But do you regret that though?
I don't think that
If
the
somebody-
group chat thing was the biggest deal. I don't
Look,
think
look.
he thinks that.
So
or
what
anyone
he's
thinks
saying
that.
is, if another
Situation.
trans leaves,
Not
it-
not even just
I'm
trans,
just
but
saying,
anything.
Not even we're not even going against it, but I'm just saying if
Anything's crazy.
another motherfucker is outing somebody in your because snitch shit sometimes it do need to be out if it's real. But look, that's why I'm like, but say another person is outing somebody about their sexuality on your page, or any type of gay, lesbian, LGBTQ saying that they're cool with somebody.
Well, because
will you ever do it in a group chat again?
No, knowing what I know now, I would be even more precautious. But to be fair, at that time, I didn't even know that that's what she was inferring. I thought
It's
that
gray
I
area,
was
though.
kind of inferring that. But all right, I'm going to put it in perspective, too, is that there's a host on this channel, and 2 different times in the last 6 months, somebody has come on the podcast and talk shit about them, like specifically trying to go at them and say this, that, and the other thing on some more street shit, not some gay shit or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And we edited it out in both different cases. And in those cases, the editing team did the correct job and they edited it out. And, you know, like that was even, I would have done that anyway, but that was even more clear to me of like, oh, we can't let people come on the podcast and use the podcast as a platform to like shit on people who are like loyal long-term employees, you know?
Right. One thing I noticed like different with this.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it wasn't
might have
you,
been
though.
me.
No, it wasn't you.
Even if it wasn't, I just say I appreciate it.
No, but if I interview somebody
Yeah.
who's from an opposing side or whatever, and they want to say, hey, Brick Baby is this, this, and this, I
Man,
mean,
they gotta come with them facts. They gotta
Exactly,
come with
yeah.
that. Yeah, come with the receipts,
Right.
man. When you come with the receipts, man, on 6 show, they tell me. Yeah, I mean, that's what I just be telling them. Where the receipts at, man? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
'Cause I get jiggy.